Hello Virgo, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements, looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We will be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll be looking at your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story, so we'll be looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. The middle section will be looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point of this reading is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. And the last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Virgo, let's start with looking at your side of this connection. Virgo's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Manipulation. Oof, okay. What else? See, to me, this manipulation card gives off this energy of you knowing that something is up. Your intuition, picking up on something when it comes to this person. You have this breakups and makeups card. I feel like this connection has been very... I feel like this is hard, though, because I do feel like there is this underlying energy of like knowing how this person feels, but and I feel like that's what your intuition is picking up on, is like, you know how they really feel, but their actions don't align with that. And I feel like that's what kind of leads to this breakups and makeups kind of energy. So your intuition is onto something here. I feel like now is definitely not the time to doubt it when it comes to like knowing that there's something off or up with this person. This person's energy toward Virgo. What's going on with them then? This person's energy toward Virgo, please. Solitude. Ego. Interference. Okay. I feel like this person craves deeper connection, but is more comfortable with solitude. And I get that because I feel like it's like their ego is interfering here with the connection or with their ability to show up for the connection. I feel like that's where things get complicated for you, right? Because I feel like on that deeper level, like you understand that this person does desire love, does have feelings for the connection, or does want the connection to be something more than it is. But then it feels like their ego really gets in the way here. I have really learned that every human being craves human connection. We all crave to love and be loved for who we really are. However, depending on our level of healing or our level of growth, we might not know how to let people in enough to experience that deeper intimacy that we desire. And that is your ego trying to protect you from getting hurt. And I feel like that's kind of what is happening with this person. Like, I feel like they have this craving for deeper connection, but then like their ego jumps in and is like, no, we've got to protect ourselves. Now, the other thing that I'm kind of seeing here is, I guess this is more of a silhouette than a shadow, but it definitely feels, it gives very much like a shadow kind of energy, right? So I feel like this person's behavior is being led in this connection by the unhealed part of themselves. We all have a shadow. We all have a part of ourselves that is unhealed, that is triggered. And that part of us never really goes away, but we learn to integrate it into our experience. We learn not to allow it to make decisions for us. We learn to allow our, the healed version of us to kind of override the decisions that our wounded version of ourself would typically make. And that's really where true healing starts to happen. But if you're dealing with someone who hasn't grown or done the healing to be able to become aware enough of the way that they allow their triggers to control them, then you're going to deal with someone who is going to desire one thing but act a completely different way. And I feel like that's where the problem starts to arise in this connection. Truth of the connection between Virgo and this person. Truth of the connection between Virgo and this person, please. Robotic. Interesting. So this connection has this potential to go deeper. Yeah. Okay, because I said potential and then this dream come true card came out. This connection has a lot of potential to be a deep, fulfilling connection, right? But I feel like with this robotic card, it seems to really stay on the surface. And I feel like that's probably what has led to this breakup and makeup kind of energy is, things start to dip below the surface. This person maybe gets a little bit triggered by that. There's this separation or this, distance, but then this person craves it, so they come back in because there's a lot of potential here. But then it gets, you get too close or things start to get deep again and they get freaked out and they pull away. So that's probably where the breakups and makeups energy is starting to, or has come from. I feel like this person does love you, care about this. I feel like they don't mean to act the way that they do. It doesn't justify behavior. That doesn't mean that you accept the way that somebody acts, but understanding that a lot of times when somebody is making decisions from a place of their wounded self, they're not consciously doing that. Healing is actually, when we talk about a healing journey, it's actually the conscious decisions. It's making conscious decisions over allowing our unhealed protective patterns to make decisions for us, right? So it's interesting because that can go both ways. You can be dealing with someone who's allowing their unhealed, unconscious self to make decisions for them, by pushing away love, but you can also be allowing yourself to make decisions from your unhealed, unconscious protective patterns by chasing love and people who push it away. So there might be a bit of a mirror here that needs to be addressed, but I do feel like this is certainly complicated, and I can understand why you're having a hard time, or why you're having a hard time understanding why this person is acting the way that they are. Again, your intuition is something's up here. Can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely some things that need to be cleared up. All right, overall theme of this reading for Virgo, which I guess can kind of be advice, but overall theme of this reading for Virgo. There's something more to this. What else here? Yeah. Love yourself first. Okay, I knew it. I knew there was going to be something more. So the first one is true love. It says this is the romance of a lifetime, but then you're coupled with love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Now, I feel like this true love card, it feels very similar to the dream come true card, where I do feel like things in this connection probably feel really good, especially when things are good, right? And I feel like that might be what keeps you both coming back, is because there is such a good vibe to when things are going well, and when this person isn't their ego isn't getting in the way, their protective patterns aren't getting in the way, things are probably really good. But then their ego does get in the way. There is this interference, right, of their shadow, of their protective patterns that causes them to act a certain way, to do certain things, which leads to maybe a separation or an argument or just distance, emotional distance, physical distance. And I feel like that has led you to a lot of pain in this connection, because I feel like you're holding on through this person kind of honestly being at war with themselves. It's like they crave and desire this deeper connection, but then at the same time they act in a way that pushes it away, right? And that's not fair to you. And that's where things get tricky, is it's like, but this could be so good. So what do I do, right? You kind of feel almost as if you're trapped, not knowing what the right decision is, especially if you feel like, well, if I walk away, or like if I don't allow them to come back, like, does that mean that I'll never have anything as good as this could be, right? You kind of start holding on to the what ifs and the, not wanting to miss out. And that is completely natural and understandable, but can also lead to a cycle. So let's dive a little bit deeper here. Virgo side of this connection: breakups and makeups with manipulation. Virgo side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. The Chariot in reverse. And there it is. It's like the Chariot in reverse to me gives this energy of like slamming on the brakes. It's like chugging along, feeling like you're making progress, and then just like you hear like tires screeching, full stop. And I feel like that can cause a lot of confusion for someone who's dealing with someone who puts a stop to connections that seem to be going the right way, because you're going to start to go, what the hell did I do? What did I do wrong? Why is this person acting this way? The Ten of Wands in reverse. It's 2 reverse cards right out of the gate. The Ten of Wands in reverse is this energy to not take on the burdens of others. Now, I feel like when you're dealing with, and then you have the Knight of Swords here, which I'll get to in a second, but when you're dealing with someone who it's like you know them, right? You know them almost probably better than you know yourself, right? Especially if there is this very intense connection here. And there's the 2 of Wands, there's the Ace of Wands, there's a lot of love here. And I feel like you, like I said, like it's like you can see through maybe the front that their ego puts up, like you see through it. And I feel like you love them for who they really are. And I feel like that causes you to maybe have a lot of empathy and understanding for like why they do the things they do. Maybe even justifying it. Well, this person's been through a lot, or they've had a tough past, or they had a tough childhood, or they're going through a divorce, or, whatever the case might be. And absolutely, we should give people grace when they're going through a lot or when they've been through a lot. But that doesn't mean that we abandon ourselves while trying to nurture somebody else, right? And I think that is a very misconstrued idea of what love really is. We have this belief that we are required to self-abandon our needs for the sake of our partner, for the sake of someone else. Now, in healthy relationships, there are times in which one person shows up more than the other, right? Not everything is 50-50, but it usually balances out to 50-50, because when you're struggling, they're there for you, and when they're struggling, you're obviously there for them. I feel like what happens in this connection is like you're there for them, and you have this empathy, and you have this understanding, and you have this grace, and you're so, you're there to give and to nurture and to care for. But then the second that you need something in return, or that you don't have as much to give, it feels like this person starts to pull away. And I feel like a lot of that it's less of a reflection of your value and more of a reflection of their capacity to meet you where you're at, which is why I feel like you have this love yourself first, because I feel like there is a lot of love that you have for this person. And I understand why. I feel like this connection and the way that the dynamic is kind of portraying itself is like, yeah, of course you would, especially if you're dealing with someone that you have a lot of empathy for. But this Knight of Swords is this reminder to not rush in. I feel like right now is a time for you to be very careful with how much you are giving or showing up for this connection, and making sure that you are protecting yourself. Because as much as, yes, this person deserves love, everyone deserves love, right? You are not required to love yourself less in order to love somebody else. In fact, if you are loving yourself less in order to love someone else or in order to make a connection with someone else work, that is called self-abandonment. And when we enter into a connection from self-abandonment, that connection will never end well, because our relationships with other people are a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. If our relationship with ourselves is based on the foundation of self-abandonment, that person is going to abandon us. If we are not honoring our emotional needs or our emotional world, that person that we're dealing with is not going to do so. And I think a lot of the times things get a little bit complicated when we make excuses, right? We go, oh, well, they could if, we get to this point, or if they would heal, or if they would grow, and I want to help them do that. I want to help them heal. I want to help them grow. I want to help them evolve. And that is a wonderful sentiment, but you cannot heal, fix, or change anybody else, especially if you're dealing with someone who isn't willing to do so. And I feel like people often show you who they are and what their intentions are in their repetitive patterns. And when somebody continues to do something, disrespecting you, walking away, not honoring you or your needs, they are telling you, this is who I am and this is where I'm at. They might verbally be telling you, I'm willing to change, or I'm willing to do better, or I'm going to try harder, or whatever the case is, but their actions are what really matters. And you and this person are stuck in like a separation, reconciliation kind of cycle, right? Breakup, makeup, distance, coming, closeness kind of cycle. And again, I get why. I feel like there's a lot of feelings here on both sides. But you don't just deserve somebody who loves you, Virgo. You deserve somebody who is willing to let their guard down enough to accept that love and love you back, right? And I'm not saying this person can't, but I feel like they'd have to step out of the decision-making of their wounded self, which would have to come with healing. It would have to come with a willingness to face the accountability that they are making decisions from their wounded self, which is something that most people don't want to do because it's hard. It's painful. Nobody wants to look at themselves in the mirror and accept responsibility for the ways that they hurt other people. Nobody. So their ego will come in, and their ego will justify their actions and their decisions, which, people don't want to see past that. So, but let's see this person's energy toward Virgo, because I feel like it's hard because it's like this solitude energy. It's like this person is more comfortable in solitude even though they crave closeness. And their ego might even they might have created this I don't need anybody, or like I'm fine without other people kind of energy, and that's definitely a protective pattern. People, we are meant to connect here on this earth. Okay, this person's energy toward Virgo. Temperance in reverse, Judgment, 5 of Cups, Magician in reverse, 9 of Wands. It's really interesting. This person's frustrated. I feel like they're frustrated that they can't find or sustain love. I feel like there's a lot of grief and sadness here, and I feel like there is a lot of maybe even regret for the ways that they act. But the one thing that I don't see is change or accountability. People only ever regret their actions. Like someone who isn't like willing to change, or who isn't doing the work on themselves and taking accountability and self-awareness and all that, people typically only regret their actions whenever it affects them, right? Especially when you're dealing with someone very driven by ego, they very rarely focus or look at how their actions affect others. So they only start to look at their actions and start to regret their actions whenever it affects them. So think cheater getting caught, right? I'm not saying that's what happened, but someone who is kind of a serial cheater, if you will, they're going to do that over and over again, and they're totally fine with it as long as you don't know, because although they're hurting you, it's not affecting them in a negative way, right? Especially if you're dealing with someone who like doesn't want a relationship to end, even though they're doing that, then they get caught. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden I have all this regret. Well, when you're dealing with someone that isn't willing to change, you allow them back in, there's this forgiveness, they're going to do the same thing over and over again. And I feel like that's what you're dealing with this person is. It's like, I feel like there is regret for their actions. I feel like they do regret whatever they have done to walk away or to sabotage this. I do feel like there is regret. But this magician in reverse tells this story of like not having the tools, the awareness, the emotional accountability, emotional intelligence, whatever it is, to change. And I think that that's what is hard, is it's like there's this cycle of almost this person doing the same thing over and over in this relationship. Whatever that is, however that resonates with you. It's a general reading, so I don't know exactly what that is. But whatever they do, it's like they do it, and then it creates a separation in the relationship, and they're like, man, I really wish, like, I regret that I did that, or I regret that things are the way that they are. But then you guys get back together and they do the exact same thing. And I feel like that's where, the confusion of like they crave that closeness, they desire it, but yet at the same time, their actions are more aligning with like, I'm more comfortable being alone. And I think that is a war between this person. It's almost as if they crave what this connection has to give them, but yet they're so afraid of that vulnerability or that fear of being hurt that instead of allowing themselves to surrender to it, they fight it, they resist it, they push it away, they sabotage it in some way. This Nine of Wands is literally a representation of like getting in their own way, holding themselves back. And I feel like, they have this Temperance in reverse with the Five of Cups, which to me is like they're frustrated, there's grief here, they wish that things were different, but I see no change. I see nothing. I see them not doing anything about it. And that cycle in this connection, it can't keep repeating. And I think that's where like you have to really put your foot down and you have to be like, listen, things have to be different or I cannot continue to do this, because you're getting hurt every single time they act the way that they do, right? You're getting affected. And your intuition, I feel like, is trying to give you like this, be careful. I don't know, like, are they being honest? Are they actually going to change? Are things really going to be different? And it's like your intuition knows that they aren't, but you get into it for the hope of what if, especially because there's so much potential here. So I think that, first of all, no one can blame you, okay? That's anyone in your shoes would probably, make the decisions or get back together, or, allow this person back in or whatever the case is. But if you want things to change and you're dealing with someone who isn't willing to change, what's in your control? Setting boundaries, making sure that you protect yourself, I feel like is so incredibly important here, because that's the only thing that's going to make sure that you don't end up hurt because this person doesn't know how to be loved and reciprocate that love. And I think that that's why you have this love yourself first. It's like you have this true love. Yes, it is. There's so much potential here. There is always potential for you to be loved in the way that you desire with the right person, okay? Our relationships with other people are a reflection of the love that we have for ourselves. And when we learn to love ourselves deeper, we tend to attract people that love ourselves, that love us more. So when we see like soulmate or true love, and I think one of the more dangerous labels of like a twin flame, we label this person and we say, if it's not them, I'm never going to be happy or loved. And we create this expectation that says they have to change, because if they don't change, I'm never going to experience love. I'm never going to be as happy as I could be if they do. And what that does is that attaches our ability to be happy to that person's willingness to heal and change. And when that happens, that creates a pretty toxic environment, because now you're trying to control their healing, their growth, or them changing, so that you both can be happy. And that's not how change actually happens. So there's a lot going on here. And I feel like one of the main things is like, yeah, they have feelings for you, right? They do. But I said this already. You don't just deserve somebody who has feelings for you, or someone who loves you or is attracted to you or wants to be with you, okay? You don't just deserve that. You deserve someone who is willing to work on themselves and learn to heal, grow, evolve so that their protective patterns don't hurt you or them. You deserve someone who doesn't just love you, but who shows up for that love. And there is somebody out there for you that can do that. I'm not saying it's not this person, but I do feel like there is a lot of healing that they would have to go through before they're going to be able to not repeat these unhealthy patterns of their unhealed self, right? Talking about that ego interfering. In between this connection, you have dream come true with robotic. We're going to be diving deeper into this, looking at the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Thank you so much, Virgo, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Virgo, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Virgo.